Well, today we're on step 4 as we're walking through the steps toward recovery, and we're again in the studio with Pastor Eric. Eric, before we get into the talking points today, tell us what step 4 is. Read it to us.
Step 4 says that we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
So now, when you were coming out of your addiction, you did this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Was this pretty easy?
No, it's probably one of the hardest steps to after, steps 1, 2, and 3, come and having your faith moment, then you're like, okay, now I got to dig deep into who I am, the behaviors that I have, what has caused me to even go down this road that I've chosen in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why it says fearless, because you really have to have a little courage probably to complete this step.
Yeah, exactly.
So walk us through. You've got a few really important talking points that we'll talk through, and then you guys can talk through with your group or your mentor. You say this, step 4 is about getting real with your addiction.
Yeah.
Why is it important for an addict to get real? Or maybe why is it hard for an addict to get real with their addiction?
Well, because I believe the disease of addiction itself, it causes us to be blind. We're lying to ourselves on a daily basis. We're saying to ourselves, well, just this one last time, or I need this to relax, or I need this to calm down, or I deserve it, all these things. And so getting real is getting to the point where we're saying, that's probably a wrong way of thinking. And even beyond that, again, the behaviors that even cause us to get there in the first place, where we want to mask a certain feeling, or we don't want to think a certain thought, we've got to start to uncover that and get real about it, for sure. So
yeah, Jesus says in Luke 12:2 that a time is coming when every secret will be revealed. And I think that's a great verse for addicts to remember, is if you don't get real with your addiction, someday you're going to have to get real. Like you can't hide it forever, right?
yeah.
And that's what you talk about in your second point. You say this: secrets keep us sick, and they keep us stuck in our addiction. What do you mean by that with secrets?
Well, I mean just the things that we hold deep down inside ourselves, maybe some of the things that we've done in the past, some addicts or alcoholics or people that struggle with a compulsion or a habit have done things in their past that they may be ashamed of, or things have even happened to them that they may feel ashamed of. And if we don't get those up and out of us, if they just stay down and they fester and we can't do anything about it, then it's going to keep us in our addiction. It'll keep us in that way of thinking. But getting real and telling our secrets and sharing it with a mentor, that's why this step is so important, to have a group and a sponsor or a mentor to share with some of the things that are going on inside of our head, some of the things that we have done. And so it should be a trusted person. But
so you're not saying to post all of your secrets on Facebook so that all of your friends can see it?
No, not at all. I mean, and oftentimes this can't really even be a family member most of the time, because of a lot of the struggle and hurt from people's past. That may have been what led them to addiction in the first place. So a trusted person, and I would say somebody at church, somebody at a Bible-believing church, someone who can mentor you in that way.
And for you, even as a recovering addict, you have to stay vigilant about this. Talk about that for a second, right? That it's easy to kind of fall back into a secretive mode of living.
Yeah. So I'm committed to going and meeting with someone or sharing with a mentor, or even in the mornings every day, when I'm talking to God, I'm asking Him, Lord, show me something in me that's kind of going against you, Lord, or that is keeping me sick. If I don't do that, if I don't take a daily inventory of my behaviors, of my actions, how'd yesterday go? How was last week? How have I been treating my family or the people around me? If I don't do that and I just keep it in and I never share, then eventually that may lead me back into some of the behaviors. Even though I've been clean for quite some time now, out of fear of falling back into that, I would rather share, as hard as it is to share some of these things or write some of these things down on a piece of paper. It's more important to get it up and out of me and share it so that I can be real. I can be truthful to who I am,
One last thing, we're going to get real practical here, Eric. You say, ask God for help with your moral inventory. Okay. Let's get practical with that. How if I'm an addict and I say, all right, I'm going to take this step. I'm going to do this step. What give me some examples of that moral inventory and what it would be like. What would be on my list?
Well, there's several documents out there, ways to take a moral inventory. I mean, there would be a checklist, and some of these things would cover, how am I feeling about lustful thoughts? Was I angry today? Was I obsessive about something? Jealous? Am I holding any resentments? These are all kind of examples of like a daily inventory that I would take of myself so that I can recognize those things. Yeah.
And we'll put a link to that down below this video. But Eric, why is it important to ask God for help when you're going through that process?
Well, because if we say that, one day everything's going to be revealed and God already knows everything, He just wants us to be real and authentic about it, then we better ask Him for help. We should come to Him and say, God, well, you know me better than I know myself. And so I sometimes forget what I've done or I'm just oblivious to it, like so many of us are. Lord, but would you show me? And there's a really great verse for that. It's Psalm 139. It says, in verse 23, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in your way everlasting. And so in the mornings, like I said, I pray that prayer to God, like David did in that psalm. I say, God, what's going on in me? Reveal it to me so we can get rid of it and we can move on with the day,
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pastor Eric. If you're watching this, I encourage you to use those questions below to talk about this with a group or mentor and take step 4. Go ahead and do that. Take a moral inventory in your own life.